L to the fifth. What? Bye-bye.
In lieu of Easter, I thought it would be important to I guess, give my own personal feelings about um, religious ideals in relationship to spiritual quests. I feel like people inherently have this need for a certain story in their life. When it came to Jesus, it was about this ultimate being, this figure who was perfect, committed no sins, that cared about everyone, and was loving and full of compassion, who ultimately sacrificed himself for the greater good, for people to live. And then he was resurrected 3 days later, and then he came around and basically did more healings and more lectures. We'll call them lectures. And then he went to heaven. So we could all look up to him and move on into a better place. And that story is not unique. The same thing happened with Muhammad. The same thing happened in something here, pop culture, in The Matrix, where this man who's basically normal escapes the control matrix of the social constructed world and becomes the ultimate savior, where he saves everyone. At the end of the movie, he dies, and everyone lives in peace and happiness. And right, this is an ongoing thing. We have a need to feel that story. Even watching something on the news of a firefighter who runs to a burning building to save people. Like, we have this thing about heroes where we feel like we idolize them, we put them into a box that's so much higher than us, and we compare ourselves to them, which in the end makes us feel down about ourselves because they're perfect and we're not. And it's through this knowledge that we move forward into our lives. The thing that I think is so important about the fifth dimensional experience of that is I talked before about how we exist in the third and fourth dimensional plane. Our body is 3 dimensions. We move through time in the fourth dimension. And somewhere above that in the fifth dimension is our consciousness. Our ability to look down upon it and see our lives in the third and fourth dimensional plane, right? Knowledge is power, and applied knowledge is freedom. And what I'm trying to help myself with right now is understanding that those stories, those paths of people that are ones, like the ultimate one, those paths are achievable by anyone. You can become a hero in a day-to-day basis. It doesn't have to be you sacrifice your life for the entire world and you have to die. Like, it's not like that. It can be much smaller. It's walking into a room full of tension of people that are complaining and people that are being negative and choosing to stay in a positive light and to choose that as people talk to you, talk about things that are going to shift the room into a higher vibration without condemning people and going, you shouldn't be talking about your neighbor like that. That is just not nice. No. Do not, that doesn't work. People turn you off when you turn on like that. And in life seems to be kind of like channels. Like, at any moment, if you have cable TV, which I don't, and you have 100 channels, you probably only watch a handful of them, right? The ones you like, the ones that help you feel better. You don't go and watch the channels of things that make you feel down because they hurt you and you don't want to deal with that kind of pain. Well, life's the same way. Like, every single day when you walk into a room, you're walking into a room of X amount of channels, 10 people, 10 channels. And you can tune into their channels and you can watch them and you can learn, or you can make your own channel and just choose to talk about what you want to talk about. And if people are talking about something you don't want to talk about, you're more than welcome to listen to them and be a receiving ear, but that doesn't mean you have to join their station and provide support. Like, you don't have to provide support to something that you don't support. It's okay. Don't do it. In lieu of Easter, I'm so thankful for anyone who's ever graced this planet, divine or not, that is willing to sacrifice themselves for a moment, for a life, to help the world move forward and to move up. And I just want to say, I really hold many, many, many Christian tales to my heart because they mean something to me. They speak to me on a place that is beyond the doctrine of what that religion is, that they're about a moral that I've learned and taken into myself that has helped me grow. And so that's one reason why I do not prescribe to any specific doctrine, is because there's not any specific doctrine or specific church or specific group that I've ever found that fully resonates with me. They might be 80% or 30% or 94%, whatever, and but my own ideals still hold true because I honor what it is that I think and I feel above everything else. My feelings and your feelings that we have on the inside are what's most important. And it's only from that place of oneness and clarity inside of our own thoughts that we have the ability to stand up on our own and say, this is what I believe, and I don't need anyone to validate me. I feel like for the longest time, we're doing another zoom in, X to the Y. Oh, that's it, X to the Y. I've been trying to use that phrase. Every time we zoom in, we're going to X to the Y. X, that's you, to me, the Y. I'm giving you the Y. Every time I went to church growing up, it's because I wanted someone to be around that had the same beliefs as me because it made me feel better about myself. That way, later, when someone came up to me and was like, oh, you believe that? Blah, 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 I could be like, well, at my church, and I went straight to my church and my group. And I think to have genuine faith, I've said this before, it's about inside us. The faith we have is about us. It's the faith in here that no one can touch, and that no matter what someone says to you, they can throw facts at you or throw verses at you or whatever. When you finally find your true faith in your own self-beliefs, there is nothing anyone can say that will waver you. That you are eternally bound to that stance because you're solid and you're strong. And I'm just so thankful, honestly, that the world has so many religions and it has so many spiritual expeditions that are possible to us, because many times we don't realize how much we love something until we try it out. For years, and me and my analogies, for years, I hated all green vegetables. I thought they were disgusting. They just smelled funny and they tasted bad. And one day, I'd say mid-20s, I was genuinely hungry and nothing was satisfying me, like no ideas. And so I was like, you know what? For some reason, I'm craving broccoli right now. Like, I went and bought broccoli and spinach and kale, and I tried it out and was receptive to it, and it changed my life. And now I know how much I love those things because I gave them a chance. We have to give chances in order for us to realize what the possibilities are. And so this video is really long. All right, here we are, guys. L to the 5th. It has been a great week. I'm pretty sure this video in total is going to be like 20-something minutes long. I don't know what it is. I've made 4 or 5 in a row. And so, yeah. Oh, we need tidbits. Tidbits to come. I've been trying my best to make this YouTube experience more of a conversation, and apparently up to this point I've been failing at that because I'm not getting a lot of comments back from people, which is totally fine. My mother, God bless you, Stacy Brewer, has commented on like every single video I have, which is nice, but she's my mom. So I have a poll today for everybody. There are 3 things that we are going to discuss, and I'd like you to put your answers in the comments below. A, what is the difference between judgment an assessment. This is where I would normally go on like a gander and like start rambling off and like lead you to my side. I don't have one. I'm on the verses. Number 2 is, what is the difference between being mean and being stern? Do you know? 3, what is the difference between being rude and being assertive? Now, the reason I brought all these polls up today, I'm going to pull this in closer. Hello. Is because I think sometimes I'm out and I'm doing something and I'll say something and someone will immediately accuse me of being judgmental or mean or rude. And I think to myself, wait, I was just assessing the situation and I was just being stern in my boundaries and I thought I was being assertive by telling you the truth of how I feel. Right? But people view it as XYZ and it actually is ABC. So I'd like to hear everyone's opinions this week. What is the difference for you between those two things? And beyond that, my lesson for today is when people accuse you of being something that you're not, you do not have to defend yourself at all. Like when someone goes, oh, you're being blah, you do not have to defend. You say, well, I'm glad that you are thinking about how I feel, and I'm glad that you have a certain feeling about me, and that's okay. You're more than welcome to feel that I'm being judgmental. Like that's okay. You're entitled to have your own feelings. And so there we are. Tidbit. You are what you intend to be, not what other people think you are. One of the biggest things I think that we as humans face on a daily basis is control. Whether or not we have control of our own lives, whether or not someone else does, or a higher power does, or trying to sort through the whole control, right? Even like a lot of drama is based around control, around who's in control of the conversation, who's getting what they want, and XYZ, and control and control and control. There's just so much control going on in life. And, you know, because life is a giant balancing act of light and darkness, it's important that we understand that we only have as much control as we have a lack of control. That no matter how much time we spend planning things out and getting things out to a perfect T, chances are higher than not, or at least tied, it's at a minimum, it's tied, that something's gonna change. You know, and I'm so, I hate to say amused because it sounds mean, but it's amusing to me when people that are super, super type A go to so much stress to make everything fall in line exactly as they want. And then after putting all that energy in and all that stress, things go to hell in a handbasket. And what do? They get more stress because it didn't come out the way they wanted to. And I sympathize with these people. Ooh, sympathy's not a good thing. X-nay sympathy. I empathize with these people because there are times in my life, still to this day, that I am very type A. And I just want to tell you guys something. It's okay to plan, but stop caring if it doesn't go the way you want it to, because that's okay. We have to learn to tune in and out of how much control we have. Let go of the control, because it's gonna go the other way at some point. So yes, you have control, but no, you also don't. So it's important that you accept, and that I accept, and that they and the we all accept that things are not always part of our plan. There's a bigger plan to things, and it's important to recognize that. And so here we are. Control versus not. What's more important? The or. The or is more important.